All right, in this video, I'm going to go over our new Manual D duct design tool. We've really spent the last several years trying to develop this tool. It's the first ACCA approved web-based duct design tool on the market. Quite frankly, it's been on our roadmap to do Manual D for quite a while, but the technology really just wasn't there to do that efficiently and quickly on a mobile device or iPad or any web browser. So we had to wait for, quite frankly, the technology to catch up before we could develop this tool. So finally it has, and we're very happy with the final results of this that I'm going to show you today. So once you complete your Manual J, this is my Manual J report. You just want to follow the prompts and you'll see two new sections that we have beyond Manual J, Manual S and Manual D. I'm going to skip Manual S for now and cover that as part of uh, future video, and I'm just going to go right to Manual D. So Manual D is all about validating your duct design and making sure that your unit has enough static pressure to overcome your ducts and your drawing and your intended duct design is valid. So the first thing we want to do is place our indoor air handler. You'll see on the bottom right-hand corner, we've got all of our levels, but we also have these radio buttons in between levels that are what we call duct planes. So ductwork typically does not exist at a specific level. It exists between levels. And we just want to make sure that we're placing our air handler where we want it. In this case, I want my air handler to be located on my basement level. I want it to be a vertical air upflow air handler, not horizontal. I want it to have the return air coming in the side of it. I want a plenum connection on top. So that's just a box sitting on the coil with multiple connections to it. And I can do things like edit my component losses. So things that are going to cause friction and reduce the available static pressure, like filters and grills, I can add, and it's going to reduce my available static pressure as I add all of those losses. So I can configure my air handler. We add some common losses by default. You can go in and you can edit those. We also add a common static pressure by default that you can go in and you can edit as well. So I want to draw this, I want to place this particular unit in the basement, and I want to make sure that I'm drawing my ductwork on the appropriate plane. I'm going to start by drawing the ductwork for this first floor. You'll see that I have these rooms in two different colors. So in a previous video, I went over how you can set up zones on a floor. So this particular project, I set up a basement zone and I set up two zones on the first floor, one for the rooms that face south and one for the rooms that face north. And I'll show you why that's important when we get into duct design. So once I'm happy with my air handler placement, I just click proceed. I'm gonna then, you can zoom in. There's controls to zoom in if you want to see better here. I want to click up, and in the corner here, you'll see a few icons. We have a supply duct path, a return duct path, a drop riser when you need to make a connection between floors, zone dampers. You'll see that they're color coded to match the zones that I have on this particular drawing. So this particular drawing, I have three zones: basement, first floor south, first floor north. So they're colored accordingly. And then I have all of my supply registers and return registers. So I'm going to start by drawing a supply path. You'll see as soon as I start drawing, I get a little tooltip that says make sure you're on the right plane. I've done this several times where I draw an entire duct system and then realize I drew it on the wrong level and I have to go back and remove it and start over. You want to click anywhere on this plenum connection, and I want to run two supply paths because I have two zones here that I want to serve. So I can either come off of them with straight connections, which I'll just do for simplicity here. So I'll draw that one, I'll click stop, I'll click supply path again, and I'll draw a second one. We are looking at adding a shortcut in the future where when you click on supply path, you'll be able to pick like single, double, triple connection, and it will make all of your trunks in parallel and do all the connections at the AHU. So it'll be quick and easy to do in that case. The next thing you want to do, and we haven't put this tooltip in yet to guide you through this approach, but I recommend adding your zone dampers next to that supply path. So in this case, on my trunk, I want to put a green zone damper to handle this green zone up here. And I want to put a pink zone damper to handle that pink zone down below. And what that does is when I go to add my registers, for example, if I want to put 4 registers here, it's going to automatically snap to the appropriate trunk. So you'll see that these 2 great room registers snapped to my green trunk, yet if I go down here and put a register in the foyer, it's going to snap to the pink trunk. So if I didn't add my zone dampers first, it would have no idea which of those trunks are serving the pink zone and which of the trunks are serving the green zone here. So I'm just going to go around and click. By default, it just assumes that your connections are straight branches. I'll show you in a second how to show you if they're not. If you need, say your air handler is in the middle of a space and you have connections coming out of both sides. So say I had another trunk coming this way, you can add multiple zone dampers of the same color. And what that does is it links these 2 zone dampers together. So it's not adding another zone. All it's doing is adding the ability to link them. So now when I go up here, I can add a floor register and then maybe one in the guest bath as well. You'll see under registers, we have floor registers, wall registers, ceiling. There is some logic built in where it knows that I shouldn't be adding ceiling registers if my ductwork is between my basement and first floor and I'm drawing on my first floor. I shouldn't be adding ceiling registers. I should be adding wall or floor registers, and that's why ceiling is grayed out. But then I can go to my basement and draw my basement trunks and do that. The other thing that you can do, let me just, before I go into that, I just want to show real quick. Just going to draw one more path for my office here. I'm going to put a floor register in the office. All right. So once you're done drawing all your supply trunks, you'll see that the program automatically added, if I zoom in here, it automatically added fittings between all of my connections. So if I click on this trunk, you'll see that this branch is a 5-inch calculated width. The default was metal round. The takeoff location was side. If you want to change that, you can either click around and change each one individually, or we've added a bulk capability up here. So if I click bulk duct configuration, I can make bulk edits by floor level. So for my basement and my first floor, I could say I want all of my trunks to be metal rectangular, and I want my branches to be round flex, and I want my returns to be metal rectangular, and I'll keep my even my return branches rectangular metal. And once I apply that configuration, all of my fittings update. So you'll see my supply air boots change. If I click on this, it now shows flex round. If I want to, because this is flex duct, I can drag it to any angle that I want to drag it to. I can leave it straight. It doesn't let you do that for metal duct, only flex duct can be dragged. The other thing that we can do is add returns. So we don't have the capability turned on to automatically snap returns. So we want you to draw your returns manually. And we just found that there's no good way to do that automated. So to add returns, you want to click, and in this case, I want to add a floor return right here for the main area and another one in this office space. When you click on a return, well, let's attach it first. So I'm going to click this return duct, and I'm just going to attach it to my side return on this AHU. Let me zoom in. What the program did is it automatically added a drop riser connection coming up from the AHU, and then it automatically created this return. Now the program, you'll see these dashed lines. The program automatically balanced this return to all of these registers. So this is why it was important. If you go back and look at the video when I drew this floor plan, you'll notice that wherever there really wasn't a wall and I wanted to separate spaces, I didn't draw a wall. I drew a divider, which are these dashed lines. And what that divider allows for is it now allows this program to know that there's a free air return path from these registers all the way back to this return. So all of these, this is all open construction. The only areas it can't hit is this office area because that's its own room, and this bedroom because that's its own room, and this bathroom. So there's a couple ways I can get returns to these areas. I can either add a return in that space, or I have a couple other options. We have a transfer grill option that allows you to just put a grill in the wall, and then all of a sudden, this now can balance to that register. You can, even for small rooms, do things like a door, just a simple door undercut that now allows air to go through this transfer grill under this door to that register. And when I click on this register now knows that it has to handle 473 CFM with all these other registers that it's balanced with. If a particular room you don't intend to put a register in it at all, for example, this powder room is too small, I don't really want to put it's in the central of the house, it really has no load at all or very little load. I don't really want to put a supply register in there. You have the option to actually allocate that CFM to an adjoining space, so in the same zone. So in this case, the stairwell and the dining room are in the same zone. I can, just put this to the dining room and hit save. And now I don't have to worry about adding any supplier returns in there. It's just going to make this dining room one a little bit bigger to handle that. I could do the same thing for that stairwell. And maybe for this office, I do want to have its own return in the office, and I can just create a, connection. there. And I can go in and I can clean this up. Our intention is to add a lot of validation rules, things like, if you put a register, two registers directly across from each other in the same branch, that's typically not preferred because they cross talk. If you put a return too close to a supply, that's not recommended because you get short cycling. So this program is going to get smarter and smarter as we go. We intend to add validation rules. We intend to add things like scores as you move these registers around, with the idea that we want to take even somebody that's never designed ductwork before and guide them to designing a valid ductwork system for a particular home. If I want to go to the basement area, you'll see that I can still reference all of my other trunks that are on this same system, just to make sure that I'm not running my branches and trunks in the same bays as these ones. I may want to run some ceiling registers directly in the bay next to these. So we give these as a guide, but we try to make them a lighter color so you don't get confused of what's on one floor versus what's on another floor. So I can go in and I can draw all my basement trunks as well. I'm not going to do that right now. Couple other things that I want to cover. When you click on a fitting, we automatically will select what we think is an appropriate fitting based on the configuration of ductwork. You can also click this find compatible fitting and choose different styles. So in this case, maybe instead of this straight round takeoff that has an equivalent length of 45 feet, I want a less restrictive fitting that is more of a tapered fitting, or in this case, one that has a little bit of a scoop is actually more restrictive. So I can choose between the different fitting types. I can also combine fitting. So if I wanted to create my own, custom fitting with, multiple fittings combined, I can do that by clicking the add and combining a fitting. But once I'm happy with all of my duct design, I just want to click proceed. I'll get some validation warnings like, hey, my takeoff should be at least 5 feet from the air handler. This is what I was referring to earlier, where we try to give recommendations to make people a better duct designer. But this is our Manual D report. We're still looking at improving some of the drawings. Some of these labels are a little tough to read, but you can see all of your trunks, your branches, your velocities, the calculated dimensions for all of these spaces. Some of these are, 5 foot flex, some are 6. If some of these velocities look low, I can go back and I can make edits. Right now, we're not, enforcing certain velocities, but we are looking to make recommendations to ensure that they all within acceptable ranges for noise levels. We're going to be adding a bill of materials as well, so you can print off all the bill of materials, but this is your Manual D, at least for code compliance. But that's it for this video. I'll go into some more advanced cases in future videos. Thank you.